Make sure you click the link in the description to shop and check out all my new merch. We got the Intelligence Over Ignorance, Detroit Home of the Hustlers, Against the Grain, plus HICKS TV, t-shirts and hoodies, mugs, and stickers. What up, though? This your boy DOC, and I got a very special guest on the line. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and what part of Northern California you represent?
Yeah, hey people, it's your boy Honorable Sean, formerly known as the artist, known as X-Rated, the Nefarious, represent Southside Stacktown Garden, stand up.
Word, definitely. Well, I guess that would be right off the top. I have to ask you, what made you do or change your name? What was the thought process, or going into that?
It was twofold. For one, I did a lot of work, man, in terms of like getting my degree and just being in recovery and working with these brothers. And one of the things I wanted to do was like to represent the authenticity of the streets. And like that, and one of the things that we don't need, like I didn't need to wear no mask. I didn't need to invent no character in order to be my mama's son and reach my full potential. So to me, it was like how some brothers want to give up that name they got attached to them because it ain't organically theirs. That's kind of how I felt like. Let me go back to the truth. My grandmama, grandson, my mama's son, and just be me. That's one. And the other reason I had strategically is X-Rated. X-Rated, the name as an artist, has a cluttered discography. I got a lot of good music out there. But also, it's just a lot on that name when you put that name in Spotify, when you put that name in a little radio station, whatever. I wanted to have a clean place to release my music so that when people came to it, there ain't nothing but what I wanted to make that'll be available under Honorable Sean. And so that's kind of how I'm rocking.
Word. Yeah, that's definitely smart. That's definitely smart. Well, how has the process or the transition been so far, trying to, I wouldn't say get hit back to things, because I know things have totally changed as far as, streaming, social media sites, all the titles and all that stuff. How has that transition been so far, either learning it or utilizing it for you?
I think I kind of kept myself glued to the streets, like my ears to the streets. So I was conscious of like the different changes that took place. And, we started to catch up technologically behind them walls. The brothers is a little bit up to speed because, we got them tablets now and the global tail-link phones and the GTLs and whatever contraband that's on the tier. So, yeah. So you end up learning a lot about all these different mediums that we got nowadays, and it just becomes standard business. So I kind of think I was ready for that. I was watching Rolling Stone, the way that changed, Double XL. I could see the changes that was occurring in different formats that was working and not working. And I could see the numbers on my own text. I could see like, okay, this is where I'm getting my checks from. This is what the money is saying to me.
Yeah, definitely. You, as far as the song, the very first song and video that you put out, how did you like the response that you got back? Because I seen nothing but positivity. Like in the comments, it did some nice numbers.
Yeah, it was beautiful. That was my goal. Like, let me just drop this little quick song so that people know I'm plugged in and like I'm back and I'm serious. It's real quick, and then the first lines, "Hello, it's Honorable. I'm doing fine. How are you?" That was on purpose. Let me just say hi real quick. And so, sometimes it's like you call your mom sometimes, or your grandma. Sometimes you just say, "What's up? I love you," real quick, and I'm just taking you straight. Yeah, bam, and you out. And other times you call and you might have a lot to say for a couple of hours. So this one was just what's happening, y'all. What's going on over here, and then I'm out. and then real quick I'm gonna come with that. I'm gonna come with that food.
Right.
So right now, that was just a hello.
Def. Will that go on the project that you have coming out, or would that just like kind of like a teaser, and then it won't be on the next project, or can people expect to hear that on the next? Are you putting out a whole album, an EP, or double disc, or anything like that?
No, I got an LP. I started out with a 24-track LP that I started trimming down once the personality of the album started showing itself, because we got a real heavy concept that runs straight through the record. And so there, while California Dreaming fits where I put it in terms of like me being paroled from prison. So I felt like as I made the songs, there came a point where other songs accomplished that better. And so, it just didn't make the final cut. It just couldn't fit. It's just surrounded by science, just surrounded by lava. And so what was going to go before it and what was going to go after it was just like, it wasn't working.
Yeah. Oh, so you basically, you would consider this like a conceptual album, like when a person get it, it's painting the whole picture all the way through?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it's doing. It's a journey we're going to take together real quick. I'm starting out, I call it the execution that X-rated. And my point being that, the expectation and the lifestyle that character was beholden to, he wasn't going to they wasn't going to never parole him.
Mm.
And so, that had to die so I could live,
Yeah.
And so I had to let a lot of that go in terms of what the philosophies, X-rated philosophies, X-rated expectations, all that had to die so that I could work my game up to do what I had to do to be available for my family and for my loved ones and my supporters, the people out there that's been writing me for 20-something years, talking, about, am I okay? Do I need anything? All them people are strangers. And when strangers write you for 20 years, they ain't strangers no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like I owe them people a lot. And so I almost off the bat, like the first song, we just killing. And I have it where he bang out. It's like Hamilton in a way. It's a play. And so I call it a performance art piece. But X-rated bang out. The first verse is banged out. The second verse, he get more aggro. And then the third verse is just almost trying to prove the level of insanity involved in that. I got him just tripping out and saying everything that, it's what you want. And it's almost hyper sarcastic, that first song, like, this what y'all want? Like, here you go. But it's a ridiculousness to it that I hope people are able to capture, like, if that was not a sustainable psychology. And I think, like, the first three songs kind of identify that psychology was not sustainable, that hyper robo-gangster psychology that we see some of these artists try to push. It's just not real. And then you also got that hyper black masculinity issue. There's a massive misconception on what it means to be a black male in America and what their expectations are. We almost breed our children to be murdered by what we teach them are the proper responses to certain stimuli. And so that's kind of where I was at with that. I wanted to just identify that I didn't agree with some of that stuff.
Definitely. And I'm glad you saying that, because that at some point, like in the interview, I was going to be coming back around to that type of point right there, because I know it's going to be certain people, I know myself, that they didn't do as long of a stint, but hearing like your thought process towards the world now, I have known some people that they may even do a year, 5 years or whatever, come home and still be in the same mindset. So, a lot of the questions basically will be kind of shaped around, how did you get to this point where you at right now? That's basically where my whole thing gonna come from, is how did you get to the point where you at mentally right now? So hopefully someone else can feed off of that, so, and us being based out of Detroit, and I do have, Detroit and Northern California has a strong connection. It's a pipeline there, so I do have some fan base from out there, but some that may not know, I wanted to kind of go back, growing up and say, like, in the '70s and '80s in Sacramento, like how would you explain your upbringing, like prior to the streets or anything like that, like just as an individual?
I had a beautiful. When you say '70s, I had a beautiful upbringing. I had a very close knit family. We dominated by 5 very strong and opinionated women. You know, my mother and her 3 sisters and one of their best friends. You know, that was almost like a sister. And then my Uncle Michael and my aunt, because of my grandmother's and strength of her personality, everybody kind of orbited my grandmother. In my book, I call it Orbit in the Sun, that chapter where I talk about everybody kind of just orbiting Maxine, my grandmother, and how, you know, she kept all the rest of the planets and the moons and the stars. She kept everybody else warm with the strength of her light. And so we were doing well. And then, you know, what you don't know as a child, but I didn't know as a child, was that the forces, the COINTELPROs, the Hoovers and the Nixons, and the things that they were putting in place, and the Reagans, what they were doing. And so, you know, we were negatively impacted by the war on drugs, negatively impacted by the influx of narcotics in the community. And so we had to, you know, experience some of the stuff that other families experienced that was negative.
Right.
And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? The impact of the narcotics being dumped in our communities, factually speaking.
Yeah. See, and that's what that was actually my next question was going to ask. Like, would you agree there was a direct correlation between the quote-unquote crack era and the gangs migrating to Sacramento? Was it like almost like at the exact same time, or like how did you see it through your eyes?
I saw it happen. Yeah, it was simultaneous. It was simultaneous. I saw both them things occurring, the migration, and we had already kind of had that migration occurring, because Sacramento is like this pit stop, you know, for, like, you know, in the beginning when California was first incorporated, Vallejo was the capital of California. And for a while, you know, the government was utilizing Vallejo, but when they, you know, you had the gold rush, you had all this stuff going on in the state, it was not sustainable for Vallejo to be the capital because of the accessibility to it with the train tracks. And so Sacramento was changed to the capital of California. We were not always originally the capital. So the train stations and the accessibility is what turned it into the capital, you know, hundreds of years ago. And then so what occurred then was that it became this port where people going back and forth from east to west, north to south, and to the Bay Area and back, to LA and back, that Sacramento became the conduit. That was the way that was the corridor. And so that stayed true. You know, people coming from Seattle down, passing Sacramento on their way south. People coming from Portland, pass through Sacramento on their way south. People coming from the south up, people coming from Phoenix, LA, San Diego, people, all of those people, even if they wasn't going to Sac, passed through Sac on their way where they were going. And so it was always that particular, you know, corridor. And so we saw a lot of different things impact the town, you know, the clothing, the vernacular. It became this melting pot that reflected the entire state, specifically because of the accessibility, the freeways, the highways, the interstates, everything is running right through there.
Yeah, that's dope. And that's crazy because I didn't know. You know, since I'm not from there, I always thought Sacramento was, you know, the capital the whole time. That makes a lot of sense. So when them two things hit, around what age would you say you were, and how do you feel like it personally affected yourself or your intermediate family?
I saw in like by the mid '80s. I remember living in nice houses. You know, things were going well. A little bit of stability, relationship stability, and then that started disintegrating into these apartments. That disintegrated into some of those some of the more well-known projects where we end up having to be. And as a child, you don't understand them things, or certain things that I saw as a child that didn't make sense then that registered later in relation to clouds of smoke-filled rooms. You know what I mean? And certain environmental things that I peep out. Now I'm like, these things make sense. But I started seeing that like in the real, like 85, 86. That's when that stuff started really, really, really being apparent to me. But looking back on it, like writing an autobiography, it really was like from 82 to 85, it was a nosedive.
Yeah. And did it, I don't want to say, did it automatically, did it interest you to, like, when you seen it, it made you more curious to, go towards it? Or did you not want, to be a part of that life at first? Or how did that, that transition end up working out?
I remember it was all fun and games. You go to junior high school, and you hear things, kids say things and pretend to be A, B, C, or D. But I remember after my grandma died, the orbit in the sun, I got another chapter called Supernova that talk about the death of that sun that we orbited. And so when my grandma died, it scattered the family. There was no matriarch to replace her, or the matriarch in line to replace her was grieving. And so while the adults were grieving, I went to the street with my older cousins. All my older cousins are from Garden Block Crib. They all from 24th Street, 29th Street, Artie Barnes, George Lee Campbell, Jimmy Broadnax, Lil Vamp Dog, G-Man. Like, these legendary figures out there. Agnes, Simp, Caddy. These are legendary figures out there that's my blood relatives. And so while that older generation was mourning the way they mourn, there was a class in my family that was in the streets. And they was doing it with the garage up, with the speakers on, and just, smoking and drinking and congregating. And so that's what I went to. The girls were there, the cars were there, all the toys, the dollars, the bikes. They had it all. And so nobody was paying attention, and that's where I was. So, while the adults self-medicated and grieved, I went to the set, period. I was on 24th Street and Castellina Drive with my cousins. And I was at Nedry Court in 24th Street with my cousins. But nobody paying attention to what was going on. So that summer, first drink, first smoke, first vagina, and it was all bad, period.
Yeah. That is crazy. See, I didn't know, and got to keep in mind, because Detroit is not like heavily ruled. It sprinkles like how it is nowadays. You got Bloods and Crips down there everywhere now, but Detroit not really like ran by what I call like nationwide gangs and stuff like that. It's more segregated into cliques and stuff like that. So it's interesting to hear 82 to 85, like the Crips and everything were already around, as far as up there. When they originally started, like, I'm guessing historically speaking, was it started to like protect one another from either racial tension or towards the police? Was that always something in the Sacramento was been going on, police brutality and things like that, even way back then? Or was it more the gang started because of the money opportunity?
Right. That's the interesting part of the story, right? I did a study. I feel like one of them cats that if you believe in something, then you travel to its Mecca and you get a bar of what you believe in, because you can't believe in what you don't know.
Right.
And so, like, hip-hop was born on Cedric Ave in the Bronx. Like, everybody should want to know about that. Might want to get a bar to museums. We so busy F our own culture, we don't stop to think about the fact that we connected to that fabric, and that fabric provided these employment opportunities we got. And so I view gangbanging the same way. And that made it, critical to understand the struggles of Raymond Washington and what drove Stanley Tukey Williams, what they were on when they did East Side, West Side in L.A., and what the different gangs were out there. And they started technically as a positive thing, intended to provide protection to their own neighborhood. So the baby cribs, first, that was the origin of the Crips. And that's where the acronym come from. It's funny, people don't know. The C is from the cradle, and the RIP is for the grave. That's really what that was. So it was the cradle to the grave, and the and the Baby Crips was the original name. And so the Crips originated from that CRIP, Cradle to the Grave. And so they put the acronym with it to say the Community Revolution in Progress. It took that to the mayor saying, you know, they wanted funding and wanted to be recognized as a legitimate party, the way the Panthers were recognized as a legitimate party. And the mayor wrote them back and told them in order to be able to establish a relationship with the party, they would need to remove revolution from the name, because at the time that was an incendiary word, you know, because of the Panthers and people blowing police cars up and all of that. So the word revolution was really, for the government, was going to be difficult to affiliate with. So then they changed that. And so you have Reformation put in there, Community Reformation in Progress. And so, to me, I call that the Magua Crips. There was a little bit of fist fighting. There was a little, you know, it was Magua Crips. But then somebody, you know, they say you don't feed, what was my boy name? What was the cute little gremlin name? The little Magua. Yeah, you feed him after midnight, Gizmo, and it go bad, you know.
Yeah.
Then you get that's when you get the little slimy green ones. And so that's kind of what happened to Crips and Bloods when the first bodies dropped. The first bodies was the water that wet the gremlin. It was the food after midnight. And so the migration, the people migrating were the gremlins. They weren't Maguires, wasn't getting on the freeway, pushing to Sacramento, pushing it to the Bay Area, pushing to Kansas City, pushing to Seattle. That wasn't no Maguires. That was fully armed gang members with kilograms, with kilos on their way to get their paper, and they was dead serious. And so by the time that made its way to Sacramento, one of the first original cats to pull up was his name was C-Tom. He was from Compton. And one of his closest affiliates, his name was Samuel Lindley. They call him L.A. Slam. Sometimes they call him L.A. Sam. And he was from Nutty Block, Compton, Crip. And so that particular, they had family up the way. You know, my Uncle Barry Woods, the founder of 24th Street, Garden Block Crip, that's his family. And so they were coming up there doing their thing with their family and establishing themselves in the gardens and getting their money up there. And a lot of people benefited from their presence. And so that's how we ended up repping the block, you know, 2400 block of Meadowview Road, the 6500 block. You got a lot of different things like that, but the Garden Block being block came as a result of our relationship to the Nutty Block and the Santana Block Compton Crib Gang, who was coming up to drop that, you know,
yeah,
to do what they do in the town. And that's really, so we was always gremlins.
yeah, I feel you. So in the midst of, you say, and my condolences, you know, in the midst of the backbone of the family, your grandmother passing away, and still with the migration, everything still going on, how did you get introduced? Were you already like rapping in the hip hop or anything like that? Did that come later on down the line? How did that end up happening?
That was that's probably like a 2-3 year later type of thing. So first, you know, I'm out in the streets, I'm listening, like I got exposed to that level of hip hop, like the first time I heard Too Short or anything of that kind of caliber through my older cousins. That's what they was bumping. Put me on Kool Moe Dee, you know, Go See the Doctor and all of that, like a different kind of hip hop, a little bit more aggression to it. The East, some people from the East was still making clean, almost, I wouldn't say on the verge of corny. You know what I mean? Like right before we got Rakim, but right before Paid in Full, right before the golden age, 87, 88 hitting, you know, 85, 86, people were still making what could be considered cornball hip-hop, you know. And so stuff that didn't age well. We still had hard time. Run DMC was making, you know, a little bit of stronger, but you had the Ultramagnetic and the Beastie Boys and all of that. So I was kind of still getting my feet wet with listening to Too Short, Invasion of Flat Booty Bitches, and Kool Moe Dee, Go See the Doctor, a little bit more Blowfly type of stuff. And later on, I started freestyling. They figured out I could freestyle Because, like, when I was playing football, I used to make up rhymes on the bus about how we was going to whoop that other team. So I really was just making up songs, making up bars about what we was going to do when we got where we was going. And then if we won, I'd make up bars about what we just did and put everybody's name in it, and kind of got really good at that. And so that led to freestyling with the trunk open with the homies standing outside on the set once I got a little older, 89, 90, actually out on the set with trunks open, drinking, and just was spitting rhymes and adventures about the homies and what they did. And so they started saying, man, you know, you could. They kept telling me, man, you as good as Cube, you as good as, like, you really good, you could really do it. And, like, dumping money, you got here, you know, to get your stuff done. They started telling homies, the Crips, started pushing the line on me about that. And I needed to capitalize off my talent.
And so, basically, from there, that it went from rapping on the set to getting in the booth. And that's what that the inspiration and the push from them is what made you take it serious, or did? Because a lot of people I interviewed, they'll end up saying like a certain situation where maybe their freedom was on the line or something like that, or something happened that make them say like, "Hey, this could be my opportunity to get up out of this situation that I'm currently in. Let me take this serious." Did that kind of happen in your instance?
I wish it did. I look back on it, man. My introduction to hip hop was such a humongous blessing and so smooth. I didn't realize it was a blessing. I didn't even know it was work because, so like I'm out there with the homies. The homies encouraging me that I need to take that seriously. I start writing stuff down a little bit. Started like really writing songs and choruses and hooks and stuff that became psychoactive really. And so I'm at school, and I used to battle all the time, skating rinks, the mall, anywhere where somebody wanted to, thought they could rap. I used to walk up and try and give them the business. I was on my MC Ren DOC. I was trying to be the best rapper, period. And so I was doing that with one of my homies, Smiley, Crip for 6'8" Dog, and his brother Slim. But Smiley really was at the school, and we was busting rhymes out there. And my nigga Vamp, I think Vamp was there, Gangsta Red from Flat Dog, Crip Gang, rest in peace. We was all out there. And a kid named Percy Hunter, we call him Peanut. He ended up being DJ Tantrum. He's the actual DJ. He had equipment, 4-track recorders, the Lisi drum machines. Like, none of us knew that. So we out there spitting bars, and my brother Emil, he my homie, and he took his shahada. So I refer to him as my brother. And he was there, and his family member Stan used to drop bars too. So Stan was from Oakland. We used to be, just going back and forth. And when everybody was done, the boy Percy pulled us over and tell me like, man, you got to come to my spot. Like, you vicious, you need to come to my spot. So I go to this full house, like, man, whatever, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, we all jump in the van and push over there. And man, this fool got the SB 1200. You got records everywhere, the whole hookup. And so that was the first time, because before that I was just punching in on tapes. You put the tape on, you put a beat on a different one, and you rap, and then you listen to yourself. I was doing that with my nigga Rick Augustus. They called him Maserati Rick, a little psycho from 29th Street. We used to do that. And Andre Butler and all of us just taping ourselves, busting rhymes. But Percy was the first time I went in there and laid two tracks, mixed it down, and then laid 2 more tracks, overdubbing myself on a beat that we made up. And that was the first time, like the summer of 90, where I heard myself like that, and it was over after that. As soon as I heard that and took that back to the homies and actually heard the homies bumping that, they was passing them tapes around to each other. So people was just making copies of them, and I'll be walking home from school or something, and somebody would just ride by bumping my song. I was like, what the fuck? And I started taking it seriously. Like, that really impacted me. And so, like, my critical moment happened where I had been doing that for a while, and my cousin, Nicole Lee, it was around December 17th of 1990. My cousin, Nicole Lee, my family threw this this death party. It's not a death party, but a celebration for my grandmother for her death day. And so everybody came, and Nicole brought 666 Bounty, Max Kunitz, with her as her date. And Max come in, I got Percy DJing the party, he got all his equipment there, but I got all my songs that are completed, thumbs tacked to the wall and sheet protectors. Like how people got comic books on their walls. I just had rhymes on the walls, pinned up.
Yeah.
Like done. And it was a thing for me. And Six was reading that, and he was like, man, who wrote this shit? I was like, I did, I wrote them. And he was like, can you spit? So we started messing around. He said, man, I want you to meet somebody. And the next day, he pull up and he bring Brother Lynch on with him. And now, Brother Lynch, he was locally, everybody knew Six and Lynch is ice cold and strobe light. They used to be some of the most savage dancing, break dancing, and back flipping fools you could find. I'm talking about in the whole, so they get anybody to business was hard. And so I knew about them, but they was older than me. I'm still running around with the 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old crowd, and then had access to the big homies just because of what my bloodline is. But in terms of who I hung out with, they was all a full class ahead of me. And so I knew who they was, but I wasn't running in their circles. So when he bring Lynch, I let him hear some stuff, and we went to Percy house and actually made some songs on his 4-track, just kind of had fun, threw some samples on. He just spin a record, record something, loop it, and throw some drums under it and some scratches on there, and we just went in all night.
Yeah.
And we came out of that feeling like we had a cold chemistry, me, Six, and Lynch, feeling like nobody could really mess with us. And so Six say, and Lynch, like, if you could pay for your studio time, we'll take you to a real studio and get your shit done. I'm like, shit, how much it costs? When they tell me that, I go back to the homies. And then, I went to the Crip gang, period. Like, hey, man, the homies, the homies from 24th Street, the homies from Creek Mob say, if I do A, B, C, and D, they got me. I went to Big Tony, Raymond and Rich, everybody, Big J Dog from 24th Street, Big Slim Dog from 24th Street, and my nigga Ken Martin. I'll never forget him. They call him BK, Big Ken Martin from 29th Street. The homies tell me, go see Ken. So I go to the 50s and tell Ken what's going on, and he say, I'll be right back, and he go in the house. And he come back, and he give me this he give me a bag, like, with a softball in it. I'm leaving. And I felt guilty when I got down the street, so I went back and was like, hey, big homie, I think you gave me the wrong issue. And he looked in the bag and laughed at me. He was like, I'll be right back. Man, he came back with a 1/4 pound crack cocaine and gave it to me and told me that was for being a solid homie. He's like, man, I gave you what I meant to give you. He gave me twice as much as he gave me before just because I came back and tried to let him know he might have gave me the wrong one. That's Big Ken Martin for 29th Street. So I take that and grind all night, grind all week, and get my paper up, and then I hit Lynch at 6 and tell him I'm ready to go to the studio. And so we went up in that thing, and I made that Niggas in Black EP almost like, I had 2 6-hour sessions, and I did 3 songs each one. Bang, bang, 2 hours apiece. And they couldn't even believe it. People was tripping off how fast I was able to work. That's been a common thing, like, God damn, this fool to knock a song down in a heartbeat. And so that's how I did it. I got my sack up, went back to the homies. I went to the homies from L.A. I used to be on Reason Way, the Cadillac Apartments on Stockton Boulevard and Reason Way in South Side. And so I went back to the homies. All the niggas from L.A. used to be over there, PJ Wise, East Coast. There was a couple of niggas in there from 0107 Hoover. Niggas from everywhere. And so, and my niggas from 29th Street, Rab, everybody, Big J Dog's sister stayed over there. Tanya Windham, Big Dooney from 29th Street's wife. My girl Emma from 24th Street, Chill Will, Thomas Will from 24th Street. So I take them to tape for what we did, and they couldn't believe it. And so the homie Old Man from PJ Watts and Big Connie from PJ's West, rest in peace. Them niggas was like, man, this shit is the real deal. Gave me a sack. Another sack was like, nigga, go get your money. Go make your music. You can really do this. I remember sitting in Old Man tricked out Jeep in the Cadillac in the parking lot, pumping my shit on his system. And he was like, you could do it, and just handed me a wad of money and a big ass thing of straight dope. It was like, nigga, go get your money and handle your business, do it for the homies.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what's up. And so I took that back to Lynch and Six, and the rest is history. That's what happened with Psychoactive, or Niggas in Black. I got Niggas in Black done, and then
Niggas in Black was 91, and then Psychoactive was 92.
Exactly. And then I started fucking with the nigga Miko Ewers, Sivo little brother. My nigga Bo came home from YA. So now I'm already like almost done with Niggas in Black. I think I got that out already. And the nigga Miko heard Niggas in Black. And Miko a real Southside baby, and he was out there about his paper. You know what I mean? And that's Sivo little brother. And I used to be on 23rd and Babette, and that's where their grandma stayed. So I used to be at Tracy Butler house, like literally right next door to Sivo grandma house. And Miko used to be out there with his cars and shit. So but nobody knew who X-Rated was because my album cover was a drawing by Brother Lynchon, right? Mm-hmm. So they didn't know it was me. I'm walking around in front of everybody, and they bumping my shit, but don't nobody, like some of them don't know it was me. Yeah. And so the nigga Miko find out, and he was like, nigga, let's do this for real. So he started Danger Island Records. And I start 24 Deep Productions. And so we go in, Miko started just laying it out. And he financed almost all the Psychoactive. We just, out there grinding. And my nigga Bo came home. And I was at my nigga AC from 29th Street house, Killer Ho, my nigga Black. And nigga Bo pulled up fresh out of YA, looking like a jet black angel, nigga, long ass hair, healthy. And I remember he was like, nigga, what's up? We sat down, me, AC, and Bo, and wrote some rhymes. And kicked it, just celebrated the homie being home. And I took that energy and just pushed. Me, Bo, Lynch, me, Stick, Percy, and got Psychoactive done, man. And that's how it happened.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, at that time, when Psychoactive came out, and of course, because you kept doing the music and put out other projects after that, dealing with Lynch and Bo during that time, were they signed? Because when I was doing some research, I seen, the Madman Records, the Priority Records, and of course the Blockstar Entertainment. Did some type of deal come quick, like after the music started bubbling, or y'all grinding it out independent?
Well, Cedric Singleton was out there pushing, and he was working some projects for some type of, he had a little label he was doing. He had a non-violence project he was working on. I remember being in Juvenile Hall listening to the radio and Cedric Singleton to be on the radio. So, like, niggas in Sac knew if you was fucking around, you kind of had to get in touch with Cedric. And so, somehow, Cedric gave his business card. I think it was through the church or something. My mama had my little my Niggas in Black album cover on her keychain, like a little one. And Cedric saw that and gave her a business card. And we also had finished the Nigga Deep project. Me, Lynch, and Sixes, Endangered Species finished that. So Niggas in Black come out, Nigga Deep come out, and we working on Psychoactive, and we started plotting 24 Deep. And so Nico, Lance, and I go to Cedric, and I did a little audition. And I don't even know if it was an audition. I walk in there, and I got all the Psychoactive done except for one song, and it was that Sickness. I had these two verses in my head, and my nigga Pee Wee from neighborhood 111 neighborhood Crip, South Central. He was with me, and they had an artist in there that was kind of cool, but I was kind of aggressive about the battle thing, and so I went in there and gave the boy the business in front of Cedric, and I left with a deal. Black Market Records, and I was kind of like the LL of Black Market. I was like they Lil Wayne. I was the very first one they ever put an album out for. I was the first artist on Black Market Records ever. And so, Sid was ready to go. He Black Market became Black Market, all that other stuff he had going on. He just pulled everything, came with the BMR, and just pushed, and that's how Psychoactive became Psychoactive. I did that one song. I think I had to actually gas this artist out with the first verse on that Sickness, and they hadn't heard nothing like that before.
Right, definitely. Now with all that like with the positiveness and everything, cause it's rare. A lot of I'm not gonna say it's rare, but to hear that much support from everybody seeing your talent and not hating and not trying to, you know, in the hood, people see you have talent and want to detour you from your dreams or not, you know, put you in position to try to get on. With all the positiveness that was going on, you know, what ended up leading to that point of where you feel like everything kind of went out the door with the situation you end up, you know, going to jail for?
1 second. I need that question one more time. I'm waiting for Crooked R to hit me. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't him. I missed his call, trying to be respectful to the homie. Let me get that question one time.
No, asking, you know, with all the positiveness that was going on as far as having the homies support financially, verbally,
Right.
you know, that in motivation. Because a lot of times, I personally myself trying to do something positive, or people I see doing positive. A lot of times, the crab in the bucket mentality, barrel mentality in the hood, people want to pull you back and not want to see you flourish. And seeing that,
Right.
and seeing that type of stuff going on, being in that space, you know, I'm wondering, like, how did the space come to where the event or whatnot end up happening where you end up going to jail, like, you know, for the 26 years with so much positivity and support. You see what I'm saying? Like, with all that in the midst
I
going
do.
on.
You know what, man? For one, the big homie J-Dog died. And when Jerome was killed, Jerome is my nephew's cousin. You know, Tanya Windham, Tony Starkey, the Starkey family. That's they related. That's my family. And so when Big J-Dog died, there was a certain percentage of us that kind of lost it, lightweight lost it. And we was like, you know, that's why we call it the season of the sickness. We got out in the streets, and it was like, man, anybody and anything, and that was how we felt. And so, you know, the way I look at it, man, I was intoxicated, I was stupid, I was uneducated, and I was loyal to a fault. And I don't even, let me say what's the right word for that. I recall that with empathy for myself, because I loved what I was loyal to, and I still love it. I understand that my culture, and I think that it needs modifications in terms of what it means to what you do on behalf of what you're loyal to. You know, principles and codes and stuff like that. That's a different conversation. But the truth is, it was a high degree of irresponsibility at work, and a lack of understanding of self-preservation, a lack of understanding of self-worth, value, and that hyper-masculinity of what I perceived it to mean to be an African-American male in the streets. What I was supposed to be about, and because you couldn't, all of these millionaire bloods that all of a sudden they bloods, and because that's popular, and all these super Crips, because you know, you done made some money, and now they just super Crips in hip hop, and football players and basketball players, and everybody want to say they Crip or blood. You couldn't do that
Back
in
then.
1992,
Right.
and you couldn't even be a rapper that said he was A, B, C, or D, and that not be true. In 1992, you was gonna get the business. You didn't get to do it, and there was a code in the game, and so there was no such thing as be that dude on the mic and not be that dude in the street, because they was checking cars.
Right.
And so I believed in that. So whatever I rapped about, if somebody ran into me and that's what they wanted to experience, they was going to get 100% of that, because that's who we were. You know, Steve-O was Steve-O. And if you ran into him, you was going to meet Sean Thomas with Sean Thomas. You know, Sean Thomas went to YA banging the block. You know, that's why, you know, I salute him the way I salute him. I was out there. He went to YA banging the block, and banged the block in YA so well that when the little homies started going, niggas knew who they were. Like, oh, that nigga from Guard Block, because of how hard Bo pushed in the YA. And along with the other homies that started from that generation, paved the way for where when we showed up and we got treated with respect by niggas from the top to the bottom of the state, because the homies was with the shit.
Yeah.
And so that's what came home. And that's what I had to live up to. Niggas was real Gremlin gang members.
Yeah.
And so when it went down, it went down with 100% of what I understood to be required of me in the streets, period. And I can look back on that with empathy for myself and say that I was the manifest error, brother.
Yeah, yeah. Now, like after that situation, like kind of fast forward a little bit. Like after that situation and to go through the process of being sentenced, how did you like process that once you found out your sentencing? How did you process it and still, especially being super aware, coherent, everything today is, mentally? How did you process it and stay mentally and physically strong through it? Did it break your spirits at any point in time, or like how did you process once you knew that you had to do that long of a stint?
I look at that a couple ways. One of them is my homies looked at me with a certain kind of empathy that I couldn't appreciate at the time, but now I understood it. I understand it. The homies was on my bumper before I ever got to trial about dips and pull-ups and push-ups and burpees and the way I ate, about the way anybody, that same psychology. When I went in the court tank, it didn't matter who was in that tank. You go up in that tank, somebody asks you where you from, it's the block, period. And so I was being trained to be a terminator the whole time I was in the county jail, because they threw me when I was 18 years old. I got sent to the county jail and was thrown in 200 pod with people that was fighting real cases. And once that advanced enough in the media and things like that, and it was clear like this dude going to the pen, they put me in 300 pod with adults who were 100% either coming from prison on a parole or on their way to prison. And it was a murder case over here, a kidnap robbery over there. It was a 100% high power superior court in my tank.
Yeah.
And so I was with people who just left a level 4 yard on their way home, and they was looking at me like, damn, the little homie about to go through it. He don't know what he about to go through. And so they was on my bumper, work out. You got to work out. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to fight like this. You got to be prepared for A, B, C, and D. And so when I went to court, I already knew they was about to do that to me. And when it happened, it just validated a certain kind of hatred that I was operating with for America. I come from that, Rodney King beating era. Mm-hmm. I come from that, watch the O.J. Simpson trial, watch Tupac get sent to prison for a rape case they knew he didn't do, watch him send Mike Tyson to the pen for a rape case when a woman come to his hotel with a trench coat on, butt naked under it at 2 a.m, and then lock him up like he had to rape her, and then understanding the empathy for victims too. So like I had a long way to go, but I came from that psychology where to me, Mike Tyson got ate alive by Americans that they tried to eat OJ alive. Whether he was guilty or innocent is another thing. That didn't matter to me. I perceived it as this machine. Ice Cube, America's Most Wanted with the 3 Ks, attempted to eat my species. And so they was knocking us down, and I hated them, bro. And so by the time they sentenced me for that, that's what I perceived they was going to do. Because let me tell you something. I know you want to stay in a certain order, but let me give you some perspective, brother. Right now, I was 17 years old when I caught my case, and I was remanded over to adult court by a district attorney. That's presently not legal in the state of California. A 17-year-old juvenile is sent to a judge in juvenile court, and that judge has to make a decision whether or not that child should be processed through the juvenile justice system, and the emphasis is on that occurring, that children are to be prosecuted as children, and that anybody under the age of 25 has an underdeveloped prefrontal lobe. The cortex is not developed, and therefore should be given consideration as a youth offender. This is United States Supreme Court, right?
Yeah.
Miller versus Alabama, Montgomery, like these Supreme Court cases. So what happened to me in the juvenile justice system is not legal, 1. 2, it's presently not legal to send a juvenile into an adult facility to be influenced by mastermind, high-powered criminal elements. So that's not legal. So where they put me when I was a juvenile is not legal. So trying me as an adult through the district attorney is not legal. Sending me to be housed with hardened criminals is not legal. Throwing me to the wolves, that's no longer legal. Number three, they not allowed legally to send you. They have to put you somewhere more conducive to rehabilitation as a youth offender. They sent me to New Folsom, brother, and that's not legal no more. Number four, the felony murder rule, where if 5 of y'all got in the car and drove up to a place and 1 of y'all killed somebody, it's no longer legal for all 5 people to be convicted of murder. Governor Jerry Brown just eradicated that. So I just gave you 5 things. Understand that I literally, if I got arrested for the same crime right now, it would not be legal for me to have done 20. It would not be legal for me to experience what I just experienced. It wouldn't be possible for me to be charged with murder. It wouldn't be possible for me to be convicted of murder. I wouldn't do a day in prison. I wouldn't have done a day in prison for my crime, maybe except for trespassing and maybe a breaking and entering would have been the best. And I wasn't guilty of kicking nobody's door down. Right. So I'm not guilty of kicking nobody's door down. And it's all this hatred on my name, bro, and I tolerate it because I'm trying to be respectful to Miss Harris. I don't feel like I would never speak ill of the dead, and there ain't a bad thing you could say about her. She was a phenomenal human being from all accounts and everything that I had to learn about her. But I could tell you that I came from a culture where you didn't say nothing, bro. And so I never defended myself publicly. There ain't nobody you can find nowhere in an article where I ever said Maurice Proctor killed Patricia Harris. It's been 26 years and I never said it. And that brother went home acquitted on May 17th, 1996, never did a day in prison. And if you read the newspaper articles, his jury, not me, his jury says we feel sick to our stomach that we just let a killer go. His jury said it. That brother got acquitted by a jury because there was no one to confirm the witness testimony there was no witness corroboration, and he had a lawyer on his jury, and that lawyer would not let that go. There is no corroboration from this witness's testimony. No one is corroborating it. I wasn't going to say nothing because I came from a culture where that ain't what you do. Right. And so that brother got acquitted, and they booked me because of my name.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, he got acquitted, and there's a such thing as double jeopardy in America, so he can't never be retried. That brother can't never be retried. And knowing that, he ain't never come and say, Honore was not guilty. He ain't never come and say, man, that brother didn't do it, I did. He could have said that the day he walked out of court and got me out of prison. And he didn't do that.
And he was
for whatever reason.
Was he a part of Garden Block as well?
Yeah, for so from 29th Street. And I mean, I don't got no ill will because that's a part of the game. You know, he survived it just like I went and did my time and survived it. And he ain't gonna tell him nothing about me just like I ain't telling him nothing about him. So, you know, I'm not saying it to say, you know, fuck him. I'm just saying it to say there's a certain ridiculousness on a blood or a family member hating me so much when what they really hating is that I'm successful, bro. Yeah. They hating that I'm successful because the nigga that killed their people, that nigga went home on May 17th, 1996, and they know it. They was at that trial every motherfucking day. They know he did it, and they know that he went free, but it was easy to yell, fuck X-rated, because I wasn't coming home, and that meant you didn't have to go do nothing. But It's fuck me, and who got a problem with me, even though everybody knew what time it was. So now that I'm home, I'm looking at all this, you know, it's a lot of love from the people. But it's a lot of hate in the streets that's not rational because I never checked that hate. I was never willing to tell the people in the street what really occurred because they should have knew already if they was really from the street. Right. So now that I'm home, I'm like, come on, man, that's a joke. It's not legal for me to have ever went to prison. I'm supposed to still accept somebody saying fuck me because of this crime. Like, it's not even capable for me to have been found guilty. Yeah. That's how innocent I was.
Right. What now? During that process, because I hear the passion in your voice. During that process right there, was that when you either got to the mindset or the conclusion? Like in a past interview with Vlad TV, you said like gangs were parasitic. Was that when you start forming that ideology towards things, or did that come later?
Nah, that came way later. That I was, you know, from 1992 I get convicted in 1996, and I got sentenced, I got turned over to, I got sold to the state. I, you know, I'm going to tell you something. I'm gonna answer your question, but you know, when you get sentenced in California, I did the entire state, but the country. But when you get sentenced in the state of California, you don't get sentenced under the penal code. You get sentenced under the commercial code. Under the penal code, that's punishment. But under the commercial code, that's transaction. So what's happening is your county is selling you to the state because Abraham Lincoln with the 13th Amendment made slavery legal still in the United States as punishment for a crime. And so the courts are actually selling the people that have been convicted to the state. And that's why it's you sentenced under the commercial code. And I learned that later in the game, and that's where I started understanding the parasitic nature of the whole system and the parasitic nature of the gang culture, the street culture, that we being preyed upon in a way that's deeply ahead of our psychology. But when I first went to the pen, man, it was crip or die, period. That was how I felt. I felt like, what's the point? And it not being crip or die when I just went through all of this, got convicted, only to get to the pen. And the very first incident I was involved in was blood on white and Hispanic business that was mandatory crip participation. Like, we had to help the blood or else. And that was the cold learning experience that I had, where it made me understand almost immediately that I just got through in the trash can over some shit that didn't even apply to the environment that I just got to.
The same people you supposed to be beefing and killing or whatever, however person want to on the outside. In here, we together.
In here, we gotta be together. Mandatory. It was black politics, African American politics. No matter how we treated each other, if somebody else mistreated an African and you didn't help him, you were going to die. Death. Period. And so it was death not to assist your brother in that environment, no matter what color his rag was, red, green, or blue, purple, orange, and whatever that rag was. If you didn't help him, you might not want to go outside again. And even then, your celly was going to have to do it. That was who was going to get the order, even if he was your blood relative. He was going to get the instruction. That dude you live with must die, period. And so it was that kind of party. And I knew immediately, like, well, damn, ain't that ironic?
Yeah, that's crazy, because you actually answered the question, because I was going to ask you, you know, how did that process go, and knowing like the racial tension and hearing a lot about, you know, going in there and the racial tension, making certain clicks and people seeing like, damn, you know, I'm outside beefing with this person, then they come in here, it's just totally different. Like, so all those, I'm not going to say little bitty because those were massive, you know, major things to have to experience, especially at that age. But all those, I guess, bulletin points on the outline is what started slowly forming the parasitic mindset. And while you were in there, did you, you know, like preach that to the other ones that was coming in and those that was around you?
I think that everybody knew it. That rule was so powerful, it wasn't a secret. That wasn't a secret rule. And I'm empathetic toward the white brothers and the Mexican brothers, Hispanic brothers. Them dudes would come to prison and not have a drop of racial hatred in their heart. But if they didn't push with their people, they was going to die. And so that serpent that was operating that particular mechanism in our psychology, whatever that parasitic organism was, when I say a parasite is an organism that lives in, on, or within another organism and survives off of it without regard for the survival of its host. That literally is that's what it is. It didn't give a fuck if we lived or died. It was going to keep pushing. The politics was going to keep living. It don't require us to continue to perpetuate itself. So I would tell people who came in, hey, you know, this is what time it is out here. But that was mandatory orientation anyway. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew already. You're going to help your people, and you're going to be with your people first, no matter what occurs. And so the question was, how do we get that knowledge to the street? But that was much later, like trying to make people aware, like, hey, man, this ain't a sustainable psychology. The behavior you got going to put you somewhere. It's like college and high school. You go to high school and learn a gang of garbage. And then you go to college and find out that your professor wants you to forget all that shit they just taught you. When you learn history, American history in high school, you go to college, as a college student, the first thing your history professor going to tell you is to forget all that bullshit they just taught you in high school. And that's it. And you got a whole new education coming.
Right.
And that's how it was. And you know, from the streets was high school, and you get to the pen and it's college, and you find out that everything that you thought was true, all your whole education was full of shit. It just wasn't true. And so that you could live with that knowledge for years and years, and it could make you real bitter because you realize some of your decisions was pointless, and that what you believe to be worthy of representation needed to be modified. Because now it's like, well, damn, we still beefing with each other, but I can't let nobody else do nothing to the brother. Then what the fuck is the point of me hating him? You know, I started feeling that shit. I used to, man, Gangsta Red from Bounty Hunters was one of my closest niggas, man. I love that nigga, bro. And I used to wonder, like, what the fuck would I have to... You know, I remember one time I got in a little melee with the Bloods and Crips, and didn't nobody even want to use weapons. But the politics made it where we had to fight each other. So we went out there on some squabbling it up with no weapons, though.
Yeah.
And the morning before we had to go outside, this nigga named Blue from Inglewood family, he was my neighbor. He used to, you know, make some food, drop it off. I cook something, hit him. He was my neighbor. And so we broke bread or drop a sack off, let him blow. Like, here, Blue. And, man, the day before we got into it, the nigga came to me with tears in his eyes, gave me a hug, and told me he loved me, man. You a good nigga, bro. I love you, my nigga. And then we went out in the morning and got down. Everybody had to get out. And it's like, that don't even make no fucking sense, bro.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, of course, being a certified OG, do you feel, as far as either in the rap game, to say Sacramento, in the rap game or the streets or anything like that, with the knowledge and everything that you have obtained going through, you know, that chapter of your life and coming back with the wisdom and knowledge that you have now, do you feel, I don't know if obligation is a strong word to use, but to try to help diffuse some of the beef that's going on in the streets or in the rap game? Because I had a homeboy named Endo. He was from there, but he passed away. And I know a couple other people out there, and they always tell me about it was a generational beef between these different places that's been just going on forever. Then the new music scene that's going on, you've seen a lot of beef. I'm wondering, like, with someone like yourself coming home with all the wisdom that you have, like I said, I don't know if obligation is that's too strong of a word, but do you feel any sense of, let me step in and try to get this together so they can stop the beefing, or you just like, that ain't got nothing to do with me?
I think that there is I do feel a sense of obligation. That is a heavy word, but I think that heavy is something that we don't shrink from, man. We don't shrink from heavy. I feel a lot of things, and I've been having a lot of conversations with some of my own homeboys, because I know where this is originated. Partly it's the Mozzie thing, and so I get a lot of feedback over the fact that I ain't never been willing to say fuck Mozzie. And I feel like, what the fuck would I say fuck Mozzie for, bro? And so I struggle with that, like, damn, they telling me, yeah, A, B, C, and D occurred in the streets, but I'm like, nigga, I've been removed from that. And now I come home, and it's like, hey, bro, this, you know, they feel like this dude has been responsible for A, B, C, and D. And I feel like psychologically, I don't give a fuck about that, or should I give a fuck about that? Should I give a fuck about it? And you got to weigh that. I got to weigh that through the lens of, man, I just came from a place where if Mozzie got into it on the yard, I'd have to help that brother. I just came from that world where it's mandatory have his back. And then come into this world, and it's a group of people who feel it's mandatory fuck him. And I'm like, I feel like them type of things don't mesh. That shit don't go together. And I got a very strong psychological foundation. And so when I run into irrationality, I challenge that shit. And so to me, what I like to look at is, what are the origins of the hate? Because I'm coming home and a nigga offering me a piece of fruit from a tree that got rotten roots. And so I say, what are the roots of disdain that some people operating with for this young man. You know what I mean? The young nigga doing his thing. What is the roots of the hate? And so I could look at that and say there's been some disrespectful songs. There's been some disrespectful commentary. But, man, you can't find a more disrespectful rapper in the history of Sacramento rap than X-Rated. I done dissed every hood. I dissed everybody dead, homie. I done said every disrespectful thing on the record you could possibly say. From the City of Kings, Vengeance is Mine, I was the most disrespectful nigga. And that was the truth and on purpose. And so I look at it like I grew. It's niggas that support me on both sides of the rag because they support my growth. And why would I decide that Mozzie ain't capable of growing like his worst moment or his disrespectful moments could be tomorrow's respectful moments? That brother got a capacity for growth just like I had a capacity for growth. So my question became, does he want to grow? And so I sent word to him through a mutual loved one, you know, hey, man, let this brother know that I'm willing to try to diffuse some of this stuff out here if that brother coming from a place of he about that positivity too. If the brother is sincere and now that he making it, you know, he where he trying to go and then some, he got more growing to do and I'm willing to see it happen. Like I reached out to that dude to let him know, like, hey man, these mistakes I made when I was acting up. I disrespected people's neighborhoods. I was esoteric in some of my commentary and who I affiliated with, and it would make you more successful if you didn't do that. Don't make the mistakes I made. Like I sent that to Mozzie. Personally.
Yeah. Do you know how was it received well, or did you hear anything back?
I personally, from what I saw as the outcome of what I perceived of him with his continuance, I felt like it was received very well. And the boy ain't never communicated nothing but respect toward me. Right. And ain't never expressed it. It ain't never been no disrespect on my name from Mozzie, never. And if you look at that first album cover with the hoodie and the fingers to his head, that's my psychoactive cover. You know what I mean? So, yeah. From what I could see, that's homage and respect coming from a young man. So, again, fruit from a rotten tree. One, Mozzie made comments. I made disrespectful comments. Bo made disrespectful comments. Lynch made disrespectful comments. When it was our side popping that hard, didn't nobody mind making no disrespectful comments then? But when the rabbit had the gun, then all of a sudden it's so horrible. Mozzie don't know what he's supposed to not say, and I'm like, nigga, that's hella hypocritical, nigga. That's hypocritical as fuck. But it is for my homeboys that's out there risking their life. That matters. When a little homie got to ride his bike to the store, you know, and that nigga, a motherfucker living in a whole other city talking shit, they end up getting one of my niggas shot at on the street level because they being disrespectful to each other. Then it started like, hey, bro, we endangering people's lives with some of this commentary because people living, man, I live in a condominium and got a house in a gated community. If I got in the song talking about fuck this street, that street, and that street, and they decided to retaliate on Honore Brown, they going to go to 24th Street in the Gardens to do it. And it's going to be one of my little homies getting clapped at over something I said on the record. And there's a responsibility to be conscious that you can't put your little homies in them kind of circumstances. Like, I love T-Nutty. I wouldn't want nobody trying to harm T-Nutty because of his relationship to me or something disrespectful I said. Like, I would have a real psychological trauma going on in my spirit over something like that. I don't do well when I'm psychologically traumatized. And so I can admit that, you know, that. So I'm looking at it like, okay, if there's a hypocrisy, then that's nullified. It's hypocritical to care that Mozzie has said stuff historically disrespectful because we all did. That's nullified, right? So that don't even count no more. And so then it come to No Jumper interview. Man, I watched that No Jumper interview from every angle, bro. And that nigga Mozzie didn't say nothing disrespectful. That shit escalated because, in my opinion, that nigga was hurt. I watched that shit with my whole team the other day. I wanted to make sure. I talked to one of my homies. He was like, I talked to the nigga Nutty. And because Mozzie got love for Nutty. Mozzie got love for Nutty and respect for me. And there's a difference. I ain't earned no love for Mozzie, but Mozzie got love for T-Nutty, and he got respect for me. And so I say, man, you know, I'm talking to Nutty, and Nutty tell me a few things. I say, man, let me watch this. I sat with my whole team and watched that No Jumper interview, and niggas felt like what they was hearing was Mozzie felt harmed that he hadn't been receiving the support from niggas, that elders didn't show him no love when he started popping. And I'm like, hey, bro, all I hear is a young nigga saying that he wanted to be respected for his accomplishments, bro. And then I hear a young nigga saying, he say, I'm funking with Sebo, I'm funking with X-Rated, I'm funking with Brother Lynchon. And I interpreted that to be, what he was saying was, I'm competing, like, this the bar I got to live up to. He said they did it in their era, I'm doing it in my era. Nigga, that shit is all true. Like, right. What the fuck would I be mad at that for? Like, yeah, nigga, that's exactly what the fuck it is. Like, you can't, like, yeah, that shit don't make no motherfucking sense, bro. When Peyton Manning played for the Denver Broncos, that didn't nullify what John Elway did in his era, man. And if Peyton Manning said, I'm here at the Broncos representing for my era, I'm going to get this era Super Bowl ring, that don't nullify John Elway, bro. And John Elway was the general manager that brought him there. So if you say, if Mozzie feel like this is era and he got his era on lock, what the fuck I look like giving a fuck about that? That don't even make no motherfucking sense. You supposed to salute a nigga for getting his chips, nigga. You supposed to salute a nigga for feeding his family. When that nigga took them computers, I told that nigga, God is watching you, nigga, and you winning, you shining. Nigga, keep doing that positive shit. Keep dropping them computers off. That's what I told him. And fuck what niggas think. On my mama, that's what I told him. And, man, I'm watching this nigga out there in this neighborhood dropping off the computers and nigga dropping off. Like, nigga, if you hate that, nigga, you need to clap yourself, nigga, period, nigga. My mama.
Do you think, now, of course, listening to you and this, you know, from the outside looking in, key words that I heard you say, you know, from a rational, logical perspective, do you feel like some of the individuals that you trying to get possibly from your side to look at it from a rational point of view, do you think it's more of a pride thing, or is it just too much street politics bleeding over into the music where it just can't be accepted and congratulate someone for their accomplishments, or it just then went too far and it's no point of return?
I don't believe in nothing as such thing as a point of no return, because we come from a strong people, and so we could decide anything we want at any minute and give ourselves permissions at any minute. And I'm gonna help people grant that. But one thing I do know is it's the same thing about the Mogwai. The Mogwai was cute and fluffy, my nigga Gizmo, until he got wet. And sometimes they say, wet him up. You know, you shoot somebody, they blood, they bleed, the shirt is wet. And so the Mogwai got wet. And after that, Raymond Washington, Tukey Williams, and the brothers from the Pyrus in Compton, where this happened at, that originated in all our wars, that's the same thing happening in the South Side. And from Oak Park, and between Oak Park and the block, as people continue to, you know, people getting harmed. And as people get harmed, now you're not fighting over what the original thing was. I'm watching this documentary about Vietnam, and you got them brothers who's out there didn't give a fuck about America. America didn't give a fuck about no Negroes. At the time, they still fighting for voter rights, and Vietnam was going on through the when Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act. Right. And them brothers had to decide, what do they fight for? If you're not fighting for America, you fighting for what? Muhammad Ali say, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me no nigger, right?
Right.
So if you did go to Vietnam and didn't have the ability to fight like Muhammad Ali did, then who was you fighting for once you got there? If you wasn't fighting for this country that people believed hated them, you had to be fighting for that brother standing next to you. You had to say, well, fuck it then, I'm fighting for this brother right here. And that's a psychological aid that we use in order to justify how we survive in a rational experience, or something that is in conflict with our psychology. And so right now, out in the street, people feel like fuck Mozzie over things that's happened that's attached to that rotten fruit. And see, I can't unknow that the roots is rotten. So I'm not willing to eat that fruit. I keep saying the origins of this issue is rotten. It's satanic, bro. And so I have to accept insanity, and I have to accept the satanic psychology in order to eat the fruit. I'm not willing to do that, man. I just did 26 years worth of eating that garbage, nigga.
Right.
I'm not eating that shit. And so what I'm going to say right now is I will give permission to any youngsters from my neighborhood that is willing to to understand that they don't need to participate in that bullshit. I'm going to tell you right now, you ain't got to do that. And it ain't my place to tell them, but I'll tell any youngster from Oak Park that's willing to hear me tell them, you ain't got to participate in that bullshit. Concentrate on your kids, get your money, live your life, make sure you available for your parents, nigga. I got a homeboy named Ron from Neighborhood 60s, nigga from Rolling 60s. And that nigga was about to go to board to beg for his motherfucking freedom and show these people his accomplishments, and his mama died. His mama died the week before he went to board, and she died of an illness that had progressively killed her, and that nigga wasn't out to take care of his mama. Nigga, because it's some stupid-ass decisions, the stupid-ass beefs that we got going on between A-Trade gangsters and neighborhood 60s. That's been going on forever, long-ass wars, like my big homie Sanyika Shakur put out there years ago. And I got niggas mentors on both sides of that rap. I got mentors on the 60 side and mentors on the A-Trade gangster side. And I know intimately that it's that brother standing next to you now. It's the fruit from the rotten tree. And so these things could go on forever. Who wants to be locked up and can't take care of you? Your mama healthy, 30 years old, 35, 40, 60 years old right now, nigga, but 20 years from now, when she old and ain't nobody to bring her no groceries and ain't no nigga, you gonna regret it. With your kids, when you find out your daughter hoeing, nigga, while you in the pen and can't protect your child, your daughter done got felt up at somebody's house, nigga. When you ain't available, it's gonna start making sense that these errors are not worth it. So this is right now where we got to be telling the little homies, man, make the decision right now. Educate yourself. Focus on your family. Be from where you from, nigga. Represent the block. Represent Oak Park. Represent Meadowview. Be from where you from, but be an asset to where you from. Right. Handle your motherfucking business. Be relevant. And so that's what I'm saying. Anybody that feel like that shit don't need to be participated in, nigga, I'll tell you on my mama, fuck that shit. You ain't got to participate in that shit. It ain't your job to avenge and retaliate on nobody for somebody. Mind your motherfucker. Go and handle your business for your life and elevate above this bullshit. Don't let these old-ass miserable niggas sacrifice your life. Don't let no parasitic organism encourage you to get devoured and not matter no more and move on with their motherfucking lives while you dead and your family grieve, or you in prison and your family grieve and they don't even give a fuck. All they do is wear a T-shirt and shout your dead ass, jail, locked up ass out every now and then. Nigga, that ain't valuable, nigga. Exactly. That ain't worth it.
That kind of what you just saying right now. Say for instance, if you were looking back at yourself at 17, 18 when you said you was like fully engulfed in that's your past mindset, because obviously you have grown 1,000 times past that mindset of when you were 17, 18, 19 years old. Would that be your approach of how you would say it to the youth to try to get them to get on the right track? Because I'm, of course, out here doing quote-unquote media, and for some reason in the hip-hop, of course, direct correlation to the streets, for some reason it's been this big gap in between the OGs and the YGs everywhere. The young, they're not respecting the OGs. The OGs don't have no time to speak to because they feel like they hard-headed, they don't want to listen. So now the information not getting passed back and forth. With the information now, knowing the mindset that you was in there, like, no disrespect, but you know how you said super headstrong, I'm crippled, die, this and that. How can you get through to a person at that age?
I think consistency. You got it. You know why them niggas ain't being listened to? Because, nigga, you high, you're sloppy drunk, your paper ain't right, your life ain't right. What the fuck would I listen to you for?
Right.
Like, what the fuck would I listen to an uneducated, broke nigga that's drunk and high for? If I'm 17, 18, I ain't had that experience. These little niggas fuck with me. Right. They've been fucking with me for a long time because I've been consistent as fuck. Yeah. I've been consistent. I have my little moments where I might get upset in the time period where I was doing my little anger management. Let me learn how to modulate myself better when I get angry. You know, these are weaknesses that got to be tightened up. And when you consistent in your efforts, what you get, people know what to expect from you every day. That, when you run in the honor, he on this right here, and that got to be true when they catch you. It ain't no off day. You got to be 100% all the time. Aaron Rodgers consistent. You got to be Tom Brady consistent all the time. Greatness. Joe Montana, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Steph Curry. You got to be all the time consistent great, because that's what this requires. And we talking about the greatest commodity we got. Nigga, the greatest commodity we got ain't no dollars. It's our children. Our children, the greatest commodity we got. And we going to just throw them out there and just say, fuck it. It's going to just happen how it's supposed to happen. So the reason, that's why they ain't listening to them niggas, because them niggas ain't living right. They ain't winning. They ain't fly. They ain't, so we done lost a sense of purpose and class at a certain level and what our focus is on. Because I see a gang of brothers getting listened to. My nigga Rilla Dilla, they fuck with him.
Right.
They fuck with him. I see a bunch of niggas. You can see them brothers in Philly. I got brothers in New York. I got brothers in Chicago. They getting listened to. They got street teams walking around. I got brothers out here in Oakland going to the single most dangerous areas with T-shirts on, representing a specific team, telling them, man, don't do no shooting out here tonight. Like, they going to the killers, asking them, man, just let us have a night, man, please. Risking their lives to ask for peace, so that people can have free passes to travel, man. This is what you risk your life for.
Right.
This is what you risk your life for. You don't risk your life for some stupidity that ain't gonna live. You risk your life for some real shit, period. And the realest thing you could do is try to save your children and the children. They all ours. All of them mine. They all my little brothers and sisters. They mine. And it ain't just the black ones. All of them that's in the urban community, all of them that's in a struggle, all of them that's undereducated, all of them that ever had gross negligence, all of them that were severely neglected, all of them are my little brothers and sisters, my sons, my daughters, nigga. They my mothers and fathers. I am them and they are me and we are us. And that's the truth. And so what I believe is we deeper than them idiots. Mm-hmm. I think we deeper than them stupid niggas. It's 335 million Americans. 12.5% of that is African American. You got other percentages of different minorities, 15% Hispanic. You got another percentage of Asians. You got the other percentage, the rest of the percentage, the majority of being white people. I think it's enough of us to actually say that we just sick of that shit and look up and say, do you agree? And be deep as fuck. I think we deeper than they are. And by they, I'm talking about the gremlins. I think we deeper than the gremlins.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. Now, switching it back to a little bit to the music. A lot of times people say when they go to jail, they lose inspiration, and you see by your discography, you got a lot of music out, not just speaking back then, but like throughout this process and more to come. What kept you motivated in there to keep pushing your pen?
Man, I was motivated by a couple things. Like earlier, you asked me how I dealt with that blow, the psychology of that sentence. One of the things I was going to say was now that I got in the victim awareness and started doing, I got into restorative justice, I understand how victims of certain crimes develop a psychological barrier between them memories and themselves. They put blinders onto that shit, and they blank that shit out. The human brain has a fantastic capacity to cope. It will cope for you if you can't cope for it. And so I think one of the ways that my brain coped for me was hip-hop. I dove into hip-hop, and I lived my life in hip-hop, listening to the music, monitoring the waves and who was coming, who was hot, who was hard and why. The magazines, the clothes, the shows, everything that went on with hip-hop, I lived vicariously through those brothers and sisters. Like, that was what I watched, that was what I listened to, that was what I read, that was what I wore, was hip-hop. And so I got to be the ultimate fan, really. I got to be an obsessed fan, locked in a room with nothing but just hip-hop in my little family to keep me going. And so if I didn't write letters, I wrote rhymes. And when I had something to say, I either wrote it in a letter or I wrote it in a rhyme, and I did it therapeutically. But there came a point where I felt like when Unforgiven popped off, say when Exorcist popped, and I see myself in it, the Village Voice and Playboy magazine and Rolling Stone. I see that happen. I start thinking, damn, can I elevate myself to the next level? The critics in the magazines, like back when the Source mattered and Double XL, the Double XL was even later. When the Source really was on their shit.
Right.
They used to talk about what it took to be an elite MC, and I almost believed in them when they talked about what made Rakim raw, what made Ice Cube raw, what made, as they through the years, they kept defining dope MCs. They said DMX was raw. I wanted to know if that was true, and It's Dark and Hell is Hot was like, okay, got a hold of that Capital Punishment Big Pun. That second golden age, 98, like you had the 88, then 87, 88, we had 97, 98. Eminem pop up like Slim Shady Eminem.
Right.
Capital Punishment, Big Pun. The Wu doing what they was doing, Triumph Wu, you know what I mean? Enter Wu-Tang coming, Method Man, seeing what Crooked I was doing, like I'm the biggest Crooked I fan. I love that nigga because he was barred up, and I was barred up. This is like me writing Terrorism, Misanthropy, and Land of the Lost, As the World Turns, Mother's Proud, Mama's Pride of Joy, Spitting Venom, whatever it took. I'm on some MC barred up shit. Post-war syndrome. So I'm like looking at hip hop like, man, who am I as good as, and where do I belong? Do I want to be one of these sub-tier rappers, or do I want to be one of the best rappers to ever breathe on the microphone? And then, like you said, what's the obligation? I felt like if I was going to be a part of this culture, this honorable culture, hip-hop is a real honorable thing. Like, if you listen to KRS-One's speeches, his lectures, man, you could get a bar like the honor, almost like it's a religion. Hip-hop, there's an honor to being dope. Royce the 5'9" dope.
Right.
Lucas Joyner dope. Like, real life dope. And I aspire to that shit. This is what happens when bad meets evil. When we hit the trees. Now, come on, man. Hit the trees that we look like Vietnamese people, and he's evil. When I'm listening to that and I sit down and write a rhyme, to me, it mattered.
Definitely.
It mattered a lot that I wrote Elite.
So
it mattered like a motherfucker. So that's really what I was motivated by, trying to be one of the dopest niggas ever to breathe on the mic. Biggie dope, Nas dope, Jay dope, Big Pun dope. I wanted to be one of the Crooked I dope, Radcast dope, Rakim dope. I wanted to be one of the best niggas that ever breathed on a microphone with no ink pen, period. And that's what I was chasing niggas like niggas chase like Aaron Judge chasing Babe Ruth. That's how Kobe chased Jordan, how LeBron chased Kobe and Jordan. That's how good I wanted to be. I was studying the tape. I wanted to be the best to ever do it, 5 rings like Brady.
This is a question I would like to ask you, and it's on and off the subject, like listening to the list that you were just saying, like over the past maybe 5, 10, possibly plus years. I don't want the people that's going to be in the comment section to eat me up because they be specifically on it. With Sibo having a relationship with Tupac, and you said how technology stepped up in there. Have you been seeing like how, and definitely in full circle, how in the song and the video that you put out, you reference Pac and your hook and everything as well. Did you see how, I don't know where it came from, like the industry or the powers that be has been like consistently trying to tarnish this man's legacy? Did you sense that?
Oh yeah, I peeped it.
Why do you think so? Why do you think so?
Well, let me put it like this. Let me give it to you like this, bro. Why is it necessary for the United States government to try to make us aware of infidelity that Martin Luther King may have had? What the fuck did they think we needed to know that for? We recorded Dr. Martin Luther King on the phone with other women. He wasn't faithful to Coretta Scott King. What was the point of that? The point of it was to tarnish his legacy so that they could diminish the potency of his message, right?
Right.
And so the same thing. If you could smut up Malcolm X, and really the brother name was Al-Haj Malik Shabazz when he died. He didn't even, and that's one of my motivations. Malcolm X died in Mecca, and Al-Haj Malik Shabazz came back from Mecca to the United States and said that what he used to believe in wasn't true no more, and that's what they killed him for. He came home and said racism was demonic. He came home and said the white man wasn't no blue-eyed devil. That's what he came home and said. But they don't talk about that. They talk about Malcolm X, but Malcolm X died saying his name was Al-Haj Malik Shabazz, and that he wasn't Malcolm X no more. But ain't no focus on that, because that's how they tarnish his legacy. If they could keep people focused on the wide-eyed, blue-eyed devil, white man is the devil thing, if they could keep you focused on that, then that's the equivalent of keeping you focused on Martin Luther King's infidelity. And so that's what they did to Tupac. Let me keep you focused on this rape case. Let me keep you focused on did he or didn't he did a little kid get shot? Did he or didn't he? Because the brother elevated to a degree where he was a threat. And by threat, I mean when he advocated education, that was powerful because people listened to it. And so, like you said, why would the kids listen, man? What the fuck did we listen to Pac for? He was a 25-year-old dude. Technically, by the government standards, he's a child. You can keep your quote-unquote child on your insurance until they're 26 years old. This nigga was still a child according to the United States government. And so, but here it is from the mouths of babes. People listened to Tupac when he said, educate yourself. Kendrick Lamar was so impacted by it, he used his voice on his album. The city said decades ago, he used it at the end of his record, and it was still powerful because the brother was speaking the truth. And so anytime you get a voice that can last that long and be that strong and that powerful, people going to attempt to try and bring that back down to earth, because Nixon, according to Richard Nixon and J. Edgar Hoover, and which would be the United States government and the founders of COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, the greatest threat to the United States of America, was educated African-American men, right? And so Tupac was the epitome of an educated African-American man. And he gave other people permission to aspire to that standard. And so the only way that they could try to impede that would be to attack the standard, bro. And so that's why they tarnished Tupac. It's one of the reasons why I got tarnished for so long, when people started hearing some of my political views or my socio-political views, that certain aspects of my life came into question. And that was primarily because my message was powerful. If someone was to buy into what I had to say, then that means you need to be neutralized. And the best way to do that is with propaganda. So I've been a victim of some of that too.
That's deep. That's deep. Now as far as Blockstar, the Regulator Entertainment, as a company, like, what's the plans now since you back out on the ground, you took off running? I keep an eye on your Instagram, smiles, happy, passion, and everything you're doing. What's the plans for Blockstar as far as, like, I understand, of course, to get yourself rolling. Are you planning on ever, like, partnering with anyone, staying independent, signing anyone to the label, or, like, what's the future plans?
I'm kind of working out the details. First of all, we are an established S corporation with articles of incorporation filed and current on our taxes, and we got our bank account set up, and we got everything done. We have an attorney, two attorneys. We have an entertainment attorney and a litigator, both contracts with both of them, doing all our paperwork correctly, copyrights, trademarks, sound exchange, everything the right way through the legal mechanism. And then I got artists and producers that's in the stable. So in terms of, like, my foundation, I got the foundation to build the house on. So then I get my environment. What location do I want? I get a beautiful location. Now I build my studio, put my like top-notch equipment inside of my space. I got this secured environment for people to work at. And so the next stage would be, we have the ability to release independent product. I could release product through the Empire system, and I could release product through the TuneCore system if I so chose. And I also have deals I got RBC. I got records at RBC, BMG right now, and I got records. I got a record at Selecto Hits through they got to deal with Sony, and so I got options for how I want to put something out. If I just woke up in the morning and said I want a record out, it's coming out, period. And so I don't have to worry about that. But my ultimate goal, bro, I'm gonna be honest, you know, my childhood dream has been to be at Aftermath. That's what I've always wanted to do. I've always viewed myself as Dr. Dre's MC since I was bumping DOC. I always believed that I was Dr. Dre's MC, and so I built myself to be worthy of being one of his MCs because I said, well, what was the standard for that? And so we talking about a nigga that produced DOC, Ice Cube, like real life America Most Wanted, NWA Ice Cube, straight out of Compton Ice Cube, and Eminem, and some of the dopest MCs that ever touch a microphone. And so, as far as I'm concerned, that's the quality that I required. The standard I require is that I need to be with Dre at Aftermath, and if I can't do that, then I'm just gonna do me. Either it's Aftermath or I'll just do what I do then.
Right, yeah. And when can we expect? Do you have a date for when your next project is gonna come out, or you work?
Man, yeah, that's a hell of a question. You know what I did? I was in the lab yesterday, in the big studio yesterday, from 11 to 9 straight, and got 3 or 4 songs done in that period of time because my engineer, a lot of people that's been touching this record are inspired, man. They can hear it happening. You know, we got a certified hip hop classic. I'm telling you, I'm the ultimate fan, bro. And I'm talking about all the way back. I can tell you every single classic hip hop album that ever happened, from the underground all the way up. I know them all and heard them all, and I understood what made them work and didn't work. From the ones that had too many songs to the ones that didn't have enough to the ones that lost their concept in the middle of the record or didn't hold it strong enough. And so those seminal moments in hip hop, we actively creating that, and we really got it, bro. We really did it. The execution of X-Rated gonna live forever. It's a nation of millions to hold us back. It's an America's Most Wanted. It's a Good Kid, Mad City, Pimp a Butterfly. It's a Thank You Later. It's like really to this dark and hell is hot, Big Pun, Capital Punishment. We really made one. Reasonable Doubt. Because Honore's debut album is the execution of X-Rated. Honore Vachon ain't never had an album out before. So this is my first record. I ain't got no other track history. The only other song under my real name is California Dream, and then I kicked it off the album. And so, you know, we get in there and we producing and we working on a song. I lay the vocals, and then we start rearranging the drums, and then somebody jump on the phone and call a bass player, or somebody, a producer, spaz out and go jump on the drum set real quick and throw some live drums in that thing. Or, you know, so the songs are breathing because the artists and the musicians and the engineers are inspired. They know what we got. They know it unequivocally. We did the first few songs, like we did California Dreaming at the homie Dad house. We did that on the mobile studio. Then I went and re-recorded songs through my discography that I'm going to re-release through Honore Vachon. You know, I'm doing a project called An Examination of X-Rated, and it's going to be taught at San Diego State University. We hoping to push it through the whole California State University system and then start touring the other college campuses. But for now, the college course is An Examination of X-Rated by Honore Vachon Brown, and it runs my whole career. And so by that method, I get my whole discography cleaned up and made the way I really want to hear it, the songs I always loved, and put out under Honore Vachon, crispy, mixed, mastered, and with the videos. And then I'll do that. I'll go down there and have a discussion about, am I relevant to the fabric of America? Am I relevant to hip hop? Is this story relevant to our culture? 26 years in prison, gang banging, every yard you can walk, and then go to change your life, go to board, get out of prison, and serve just a couple months less than Nelson Mandela. And is that relevant to hip hop? And that's the question. And we're gonna let the college students bang it out. Is this relevant? And if it ain't, they gonna tell me why, and I'm gonna go fix that then if they right. And if it is, then there you go. And hopefully we could get that nomination for a Pulitzer or a Nobel Peace Prize. That's how hard we pushing. And so as we do these songs, the engineers, everybody's excited. They hear one song, they like, okay. Then the next song happened, and they like, whoa. And then once we got to 7, 8 songs deep, man, people start calling their friends.
Right.
They like, man, we need some harp. We need a harp right here. We need some violin. Like, my engineer was at my house last night. I left. That nigga was here for 2 hours longer. He was picking it apart. Like, they put these things in here so that y'all could do A, B, C, or D here, just send it to me over there, and only had to come to the facility. Like, thousands of dollars worth of shit being brought to my spot so we can do this the right way for myself and others. So if I do this right, I'll be the last real sacrifice. Even with my level of quality, none of my artists got to go no lower than that. Right. That everybody can come and get that the same quality I gave myself or better. Because my goal is for my artist to beat me. I don't want, I ain't that dude. I don't want to put a dude out and his album was equal to mine or worse. I need it to be equal to mine or better. And that we got better as we went. And that's the goal. So right now, bro, we letting the album tell us when it's done. I would like to have it out in 2 or 3 weeks. My engineer don't think that's reasonable because of the way he's doing the mix. He's like, bro, we got a real chemistry like Jay-Z and his engineers, or, the nigga Soundwave and Kendrick. We got a real chemistry and I trust him. And so he feel like he need more time because he think we got that. He think we got the album of the year, bro. We believe we got the hip hop album of the year guaranteed, and believe that we can compete and win the Grammys for album of the year because our story can't be competed with. It's once in a lifetime opportunity to tell the story this way, and if we pull it off, we will have no peers in 2019. Some young man could be out there working on something amazing. You never know when a Chance the Rapper is laying in the cut on your ass. We don't know who the next one is. And I salute that brother. If the brother make an album banging and then they can give me the business, I'm gonna tell him this shit was knocking and I'm inspired. But until that happens, I think we got it.
Dope. As of right now, is it all you on the album since it's like the reintroduction and you giving the conceptual album? Are you doing any features or anything like that?
I'm doing features, but I've been, man, the truth of the matter, bro, the album is so dense, man, I've been scared to give my songs to people. Like, I don't got no throwaways. And so a couple things I feel like I want to work with Big Sean. I love Big Sean. His music got me through some of this experience these last 4 or 5 years. Like Big Sean, there's an argument, a couple tweaks, and that nigga's my favorite rapper. A couple tweaks. Like if we, he's a little too disrespectful to the women, and I was too once upon a time, so I could see like, damn, if my nigga just chill out on the girls, he'd be that nigga. And in terms of storytelling, flow, gas pedal, that Detroit honor of lyricism, he got all them things. So I was listening to him and kind of just enjoying myself. But like, where would I put him at on my album if this album is about an experience I had before I would have had access to a Big Sean, before I would have had access to a J. Cole? Who I want on my album: Sean, Cole, Kendrick, Nipsey, Jay-Z. E40, like giants outside of my own homeboys. Obviously, I would want a Bold, and I would want a Lynch, and I would want a Nutty, and I would want a Looney's voice, just because the honor of where I came from. But the truth of the matter, bro, is as the songs unfold, I don't know where I'm supposed to put them. And I think they're supposed to be on the next record. This record is very intimate. This is between me and the fans. And so I got a song that I'm working on with T-Nutty right now where, he, in his opinion, he's trying to go where he ain't never went before. He's trying to step it up. He feel like I'm putting pressure on him in terms of what my content is. It's such a dense content. and then I got another song called Super Predators that I'm struggling with who to put on that. I actually started writing another verse for it just in case, because I feel like I need to do it myself and just drop 2 verses by myself, because the content is such an aggressive song. Listen to this. You want to hear a piece?
Yeah. Is that a play off of what was it, the Clintons?
You went through it.
Yeah.
See, everybody don't catch that, right? And what they go to is, I'm super predator. I'm preying on rappers, because the metaphor is so dense. But I'm sending this song. I'm waiting for Crook to call me, because I feel like I want Crooked Eye on that song. I feel like that nigga could do it.
Yeah.
You know, I was worried about, do I get a song to Lynch? Do I get a song, like, who can I give that to that's going to honor my lyrical content specifically? And then let me give, like, Lynch is the dopest nigga, period, doing what Lynch do. So can I do something with Lynch that honors Lynch's strength, so that Lynch is strongest in his circumstance? Because pound for pound, flow for flow, the nigga's one of the dopest spitters ever. Pure delivery, Lynch is the best rapper ever. That nigga's delivery is period.
Crazy. Yeah.
The cold approach to delivery. Just that first verse on Die, there ain't nobody ever done that before. In his lane, at all, that flow right there. Hip-hop ain't got that flow nowhere else. It's Lynch's flow. You know, sick mate, music coming up out your speaker. It's the nightmare crawler, creeper, dig a ditch, kill a bitch, nigga, dig a ditch deeper. I'm going to take your head with the street. Don't nobody got that but Lynch.
Right.
And so if I do something with him, I got to give him what he do, so he could be at his greatest, and then I got to step up to his standard, and I can do that. But this particular song, because of the hidden meanings with the Clintons, so let me give you the bars so you can just see what I'm saying. I say, for 20 years I recorded in a box, and I should have been with dedication, according with the lock. Should have been with dedication, according with the lock. Said I should have been with dedication, according with the lock. Well, 20 years I recorded in a box, and I should have been with dedication, according with the lock. Should have been with dedication, according with the lock. Should have been with dedication, according with the lock. 20 years I recorded in a box, and I should have been with dedication, according with the lock. Well, Cappers don't want no problems with my dog. None of them hands was in the pen with the fox. None of the lives was really getting off the Glock. None of the lives was really working with the cops. None of the lives was really paying off the cops. None of the lives was getting busy with the rocks. No, the skinny niggas wasn't moving weight. Wasn't doing curls with the little warms. Never in the feds, never in the state. Don't nobody need to county jail with the little charge. No, skinny niggas wasn't moving weight. Woo. Doing curls with the little warms. No, in the feds, never in the state. Don't nobody need to county jail with the little charge. No, saying he a killer never did a day. Killing everybody, but he get away. Really got the plug moving, brick a day. Is it the federal government? They got shit to say. If that was the case, that just mean they in the way. Mic check 1, mic check 2. Hey. No, sir. I don't sell dope. I said, no, sir. I don't sell dope. No, sir. No, I don't sell dope. No, I don't even high pass on the hell dope. No. Bill Clinton super predator for jail though. No. But I ain't peeing in that bottle. Oh, hell no. DEA tried to hit me with the elbow. I let my lawyer get the DEA the elbow. I let my lawyer get the DEA the elbow. I let my lawyer get the DEA the elbow. I said, excuse me. Well, you know, it go on from there.
Yeah.
But so
Snapping.
my trip is, when you get into the bars, what the 20 years I recorded in the box, when I should have been with dedication, according with the locks, what I like to do is warn somebody that there's something happening right now. Like, before I drop a metaphor of that kind of potency on somebody, I like to warn them that it exists. And that's been true through my career. There's breadcrumbs that there's something under the song if somebody looking for it. So I'm telling them, hey, that somebody could be like, nigga, who you think you are supposed to be with dedication, according with the lock? And I want them to ask that. It's like, okay, well, funny you would ask. And then I go straight into it. You know, I say, them cowards don't want no problems with my dogs. That's a salute to Rough Riders. None of them here was in the pen with the fox, saying that these chickens, you know what I mean? What none of these chickens locked up in that penitentiary. Nigga, you can't be no gangster super killer forever. Nigga, Sammy the Bull couldn't even get away with killing everybody.
Right.
Like, you can't, it's just not possible to be that person and never go to jail and never die, man. Real gangsters and real killers, real ones, they go to jail or they die, dog. That's the career path. It ain't no get fat and live well and have kids, bro. That ain't what happens.
Yeah.
You might be able to knock somebody down to do that, but you're not about to make a career out of it like these rappers want us to believe.
Right.
So I just put them out there real quick. I ain't ran into none of y'all. I've been in every pen California got the offer, and I got brothers in every pen the United States got the offer, and we ain't ran into none of these dudes that's gonna they just killing everybody in their song. So none of them liars was getting busy with the Glocks because they ain't shot nothing, bro. And none of them liars was really working with the chops. And I don't want them to shoot nothing, but they ain't done it. And none of them liars was really working with the rocks. And none of them liars was really paying off the cops. So I'm just put them out there. They just lying.
Yeah.
And so with they lying, this is where we get to the metaphor. They lying. I'm telling you, they lying. And so once I prove they lying, I question out their character. Them skinny niggas wasn't moving weight, meaning they ain't got enough muscle on them to have been moving those big pounds of coke. You ain't got enough money. You ain't got enough muscle. You too skinny to have ever really moved weight. Because a nigga bench presses 400 pounds ain't going to be bone and skin and bones, bro. You can only move that for so long before your muscles pop out. And by pop out, you're going to have the houses, the cars, and you're going to have the federal cases too. So I can't see they muscles, so just skinny niggas wasn't moving weight. They wasn't doing curls with them little arms, metaphor for the weight being moved, but also curling arms and small weapons, bro. So you wasn't curling no guns, arms. You wasn't lifting no arms. You wasn't doing it. You wasn't moving weight. Wasn't doing curls with the little arms. They was never in the Fed and never in the state. Why? Because don't nobody leave the county jail with that little charge.
Right.
These dudes going to the county jail for burglaries and then using that to justify a career to validate their gangsterism. Like breaking in somebody's house make you a gangster. Like that's gangster.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, now if we got to call that into question, don't nobody leave the county jail with that little charge. We say, okay, if that's true, they saying their killer never did a day. As if they killing everybody, but they get away. That's not possible. As if they really got the plug to move a brick a day, and the federal government ain't got shit to say. That's not possible. And so now I'm going to get to the super predator Bill Clinton, 3 strikes, and all of that. Now that we established that these dudes are liars, if that was the case, that just mean they in the way. Mic check 1, mic check 2. Hey, no, sir, I don't sell dope. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because Bill Clinton's policies, he implemented a law that said if a confidential informant provided information that justified a warrant and a raid on someone's home that resulted in them having illegal activities or drugs or weapons, that property could be seized and then auctioned off, and the money could be kept inside of the local precinct. So once he created that particular thing, it gave a boost. It caused a burst of confidential informants who were pretending to be dope dealers, pretending to be arms dealers, pretending to be killers in order to entrap our brothers and sisters so that they could seize that property and lock them away, bro. Yeah. And so they created that particular thing with that law. And so you gave law enforcement the ability to create a fake confidential informant who they could protect their identity, use that to get the warrant and the search warrant, hit somebody's home and take everything they have, bro, sell it, and then buy tanks and military-grade weapons to have in our community. That's Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And so that's what that song is doing. All that happening that fast.
Yeah.
That fast. And so I come out of that and question it. I say, I don't sell dope. I don't even hotbox. Don't inhale dope. Because that's what you better be telling these dudes, right? I don't inhale dope. But I say Bill Clinton, super predator, in jail, though. When I say I don't even hotbox, don't inhale dope, who said he didn't inhale? So I'm trying to give him I'm trying to let him know this is happening. Bill Clinton say I didn't inhale, I just puffed it, I didn't inhale. I say Bill Clinton, I don't even hotbox on the hell dope. Bill Clinton, super predator in jail, though. But I ain't peeing in the bottle. Oh, hell no. Right? Because we know he inhaled.
Yeah,
he can't pee in the bottle. He couldn't pee in the bottle because he inhaled, which means that he was a hypocrite. He was a hypocrite putting in policies that caused our people to be prosecuted for the same behaviors on a minor scale that he had participated in, too. Right? So I go ahead and hit him with that. Jay inhaled, though. Bill Clinton, super predator for jail, though, but I ain't peeing in that bottle. Oh, hell no. The DA tried to hit me with the elbow, which is an L in the streets. In the pen, you call a life sentence an elbow. That L, they say, man, he
Right.
got hit with the elbow.
Yeah.
That L. So the DA tried to hit me with the elbow. That's life. I let my lawyer get the DA the elbow, meaning I let my lawyer box him out. Let my lawyer, mean, you like basketball now, you're not going to give my boy the elbow. And then it goes to the chorus. Excuse me, I don't mean this rudely, but they behave like they just listened since Juvie. Back that ass up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I call it super predators, and that's a massive metaphor. And I only know of 5 or 6 other rappers that can fuck with that verse-wise, gas-wise, ink pen-wise. It ain't that many that can do it, bro. And not on a national level. It's a lot of them, in my opinion, in the underground, and I know a lot in the pen that got the clarity to do it. Immortal Technique could do it in his sleep. But how many young niggas could do it? How many people from this class right now can I call and say, I need you on this song? And it's sad that it ain't that many.
Exactly.
I could call Lucas Joyner. Lucas could do it. The young man could do it. Kendrick could do it. It's, Ab Soul could probably do it. It's not that many niggas, bro.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking to my little homies like, man, what's up, bro? Everybody know we got gas. Bleezo could gas somebody out. We know that Sav could gas somebody out. T-Duddy could gas somebody out. Man, the next logical thing to do, once you know you can dunk, you need a jumper, bro.
Right.
You need a jumper. You need a crossover. My nigga Bubba Tuck had that fall away 3-pointer. Nigga, they couldn't fuck with it. He was only 6'1", 6'5". Niggas couldn't block his shit. Because that nigga put that 3-pointer, that crossover on you and hit you with that 3-pointer. He built a career out of what would have been a weakness for another nigga by developing a move. And I'm saying, what's the next move to develop for the young men in the street right now trying to get out that underground? Is, nigga, you need this simile, metaphor, maxim game, this idiom game. You got to step your ink pen up.
Right.
And so my shit is bent. So I'm trying to send that to Crook.
Well, I hope he get it, because I know you said you was waiting on the call from him, so I hope he get it. And I know if he get it, he's going to send back that fire. Now, I know you said you trying to, but you said the producer or the mix and master possibly may not be in the next 3 weeks. Where can people go besides like the physical appearances, like you say, going to the universities and everything like that? Where's a direct location would you like to channel traffic to keep up with your the daily when the music drop in, your daily activities? Would that be your social media?
Yeah, my social media is the best way to keep up. Right now, the Instagram is official X-rated 1. Official X-rated 1. That's XRAIDED with a 1, numeral 1. And then they can hit me on the YouTube at Honore Vachon or YouTube Blockstar Entertainment, those 2 channels. And then I got official X-rated on Facebook. And I'm about to pop that Snapchat off right now. So that's where we at. I got the HonoreVachon.com and I got the WeAreBlockstar.com. So the best place really right now is that if somebody want to follow me on that IG official X-rated 1, that's the best place to get the day-to-day play-by-play on me.
Definitely. And my last question would be, if you could talk to, even if it's your younger self, just to lead us, and you said so much positive and everything throughout this whole interview, and giving people a closer look and painting a picture of your life and, throughout all the trials and tribulations. As far as the youth, if it were just one simple thing, and you may have already answered this, but you may have some other game or some advice you want to give to people that's possibly misguided out here, what would you want to say to either your younger self or to the youth?
Man, I think about this, I consider myself a psychological time traveler. I like to sit down, meditate, and bounce to the future. Couple years down the line, sometimes I'll rewind some shit and just go get a bar. And the one thing I would want to tell myself, it'd be that if you put your whole heart in your art and your education, the same way you're trying to put your whole heart in this music, your life would be the best life you could possibly imagine. I would tell myself, I guarantee you it's true. And I guarantee you I'll walk with you and help you do it. I guarantee it. You got the right. You have the right to make that decision and not be ridiculed for it by your peers.
Mm.
And if you are ridiculed for it by your peers, you have to have empathy for them because they don't understand something that you do understand, which is that right now is always right now. And that this right now is going to impact the next right now, meaning a decision I made right now in 1992 was the reason why the right now in 2016 I was in prison in my 24th year. You know, the one right now would be 20 years later right now. And if I could tell myself anything, it'd be that I was writing my future right there in the present moment, and I didn't know it. And I would tell the kids, man, write your future right now. Write your future right now. You want your money right in the future, write it right now. You the author of your life, man. You the character, you the lead character in your film. And you gotta, that's why they say direction. You need to direct yourself correctly. You need to stick to your script, and you need to be your proper character gotta be on. You gotta be within your character. And that's what I would try to convey. And I think if the right people did that consistently, it would be heard. Because if 1992 America Most Wanted 91 Predator death certificate Ice Cube told me focus on your music and go to school, I would have probably done it. If I could have saw him tell me that, I would have listened to him. I believed in him. I would have listened to Scarface tell me that. I would have listened if I was young enough for Tupac to tell me that. So that's it, bro.
Well, man, I definitely, once again, appreciate the interview. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all the game and knowledge, and I'm pretty sure that everybody else is going to enjoy it. And at any point in time, as far as promotion or anything, that you always got the red carpet to the channel and my platform. So once again, I appreciate it, man, and thank you.
Thank you, man. As soon as I get this travel pass locked in, I'll jump on the plane and we can do it on the camera, man.
For sure, definitely.